You would have had to move. Okay, we will now reconvene the meeting of October 14th from closed session. I would like to ask our student representative to the Board of Trustees, Abdullah Fatahi, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and then give us the moment of silence.
Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hello, everyone. Just a few years ago, our entire community came together, closer than we ever have, but this time virtually. A lot of people lost their jobs, communities, and support systems in a matter of days. I'm sure every single person here or watching has been affected by COVID-19 in some way, shape, or form. As a community, we have fought so hard against this new reality that it seems will continue to be our new normal. It is now October 14th, 2021, and just in Anaheim, we have lost 965 amazing souls to this awful virus. We will continue to fight against this just like the students of our district do every day. And with each day that passes, we will remember and cherish their lives and how they impacted our city and our district. I now want to take a brief moment of silence to honor their lives and the lives of their loved ones who now carry on their story. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, before we go on to our closed session report, I slipped up and I failed to say good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming. I was slipping up on my manners here. Okay, Mrs. Smith, would you read the actions taken during closed session?
4.1, no reportable action taken regarding public employee performance evaluation, superintendent. 4.2, no reportable action taken regarding negotiations. 4.3, no reportable action taken regarding personnel. 4.4, the Board of Trustees unanimously voted to dismiss employee HR-2021-22-04. 4.5, the Board of Trustees unanimously voted to appoint Karen Orr as Executive Director of Fiscal Services effective September 27, 2021. 4.6, the Board of Trustees unanimously voted to appoint Patty Neely as Executive Director of Facilities effective October 15, 2021. And 4.7, the Board of Trustees took formal action with a 5-0 vote to approve the expulsions of students 21-01 and 21-02.
Thank you. Moving on to recognitions, the Board of Trustees would like to recognize our community stakeholders for your interest in the Anaheim Union High School District and for attending our board meeting. Thank you all so much to each of you for your participation and contribution as we create an education environment that graduates socially aware, civic-minded students who are college and career ready for the 21st century. And this evening we have several guests. Yasmin Hussein, who's the Vice President, Branch Manager of City National Bank. Sharmila Shamail, the Client Officer for City National Bank. Sung Kim, President of IKEN and KECLA. Then we have Grant Schuster, President of the ASTA Association. And then we have Amanda Bean, representing the ALTA. She's the VP of ALTA, our administrative group. Did I miss any other of our presidents of groups? All right. All right, and we have one of the first things we want to recognize.
Yes, Madam President, can I was just informed that Yasmin Hussein is stuck in traffic, so maybe we could go to the second recognition and then we'll come back to it after.
Oh, okay. We can go to the second donation then, and then we'll do 6-2 first, all right? Okay. Sung Kim will be in it, is hopefully here. Okay, just have a seat for a minute, and then I'm going to ask you to come forward and have a word with the rest of us. The Board of Trustees wants to recognize you, President of the International Korean Education Network, for the donation of a total of $30,000 to help fund our first district online Korean course. Your leadership in establishing IKEN curriculum and the Korean American Culture and Society course, your diligent work in ensuring that the IKEN courses achieved University of California Office of the President A to G approval, and your effort in helping to showcase the district's Korean World Language program. Most importantly, we want to recognize that President Sung Kim's over 40 years of contributions to increasing the awareness, access, and importance of the Korean language and culture as a public school teacher at a Korean dual language immersion program and work within the International Korean Education Network and Korean Education Center. All right. Come forward and have a few words.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen. Board of Trustees of Anaheim Union High School District, President Anna L. Percy, Kathleen H. Smith, L. Jabber, Brian O'Neill, Anne Marie Randall Treasure, and Superintendent Mr. Michael Matsuda, Dr. Jaron Friday, Dr. Lune Bryant, Ms. Jackie Counts, and Executive cabinet members. As former parents, I am honored to be here today. My son and my daughter-in-law attended from elementary to high school in Anaheim in the 1990s, a long time ago, and graduated from Cypress High School. Here, I would like to thank Anaheim Union High School District for teaching a well-rounded educational philosophy and strong citizenship. I want to emphasize that not only my children, but their friends, all of their friends, are all diligent and successful citizens of society. So I heartily appreciate it. As the president of ICANN, I am pleased that the Cambridge Virtual Academy has opened an online Korean language class from 2020 and is growing well. And especially Mr. David Kim, the Korean language teacher's dedication makes it happen. And ICANN wants to provide funding to the Anaheim Union High School District to support the growth of Korean language and cultural classes. We hope that the Korean Education Center grant will help Korean language classes take root in the Cambridge Virtual Academy and e-learning of Anaheim Union High School District continue to grow in the future. Thank you again for giving me such a wonderful opportunity. Thank you.
Check.
Take a picture of her and that's her escape. I want to hold this up. It's so cool. I love it. Isn't that neat?
Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, we're going to continue on to the next item because we, our, the acknowledgement for
Yasmin Hussein, yeah.
Hussein is still
Delayed.
stuck in traffic. So we'll move on to 7.1. This is what so many of you in our audience are here about, and we're glad to see you. I believe this is, let me read a little bit about this, because what we're currently considering is the request to approve to rename the Business Wing Building 500 at South Junior High School after Carol Shaw. Carol was a business teacher at South Junior High for 18 years, and she recently passed away from cancer. During her tenure, Mrs. Shaw developed the digital animation program at South Junior High School that is now used district-wide. She co-founded South's 8th Grade Day to celebrate their promoting 8th graders and was named as South Junior High School's Teacher of the Year in 2012-13. Carol had an immeasurable impact and was beloved by her South community. The district's ad hoc committee evaluated the request, developed a report, and made a recommendation to the board for their consideration. And the board will now take a motion to approve this.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any questions, comments? All right, seeing none right now. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. So we will name the building 500 after Carol. Okay, Mr. Shaw, would you stand up, please? Would you like to come up and say a few words?
Yeah, it's difficult.
No?
Nice.
Is the rest of your family here?
I can introduce you.
The family, stand up, please, and let everyone know that they are here. And
So I'll take great pride in introducing Carol's family. We have Carol's brother, Jack, who's at the aisle, her husband, Ron Shaw, her mom, Mrs. Hip, her daughter, who's, by the way, it's her 15th birthday today, that's Alyssa,
all right.
and then her son, Jack. Or, I'm sorry, Will. Will, Jack is the brother, Will.
That's great. Thank you.
Is there anybody in the audience who would like to say something in honor of this occasion? Grant, please
Grant.
do so.
My name's Grant Schuster. I'm the president of the Anaheim Secondary Teachers Association, but actually, I'm not speaking in that position. I met Carol Hipp when she was in college. She and my brother were both playing soccer together at San Francisco State. Soon after that, when we were getting our teaching credentials, Carol worked at Disneyland with myself and my brother. I got to know her very well, and then, of course, we ended up teaching together in AUHSD. And there are things that you obviously don't see on a paper like that. The years that she was a coach and supporting all of her students in that way. Obviously, the mom that she was to her kids, and just the friend that she was to all of us. It was an honor to know her. I know my brother knew her far better than I did and was incredibly impacted by her in his life, and it is a wonderful tribute to her that the students at the school will forever know her name and what she gave to the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, now, I think it's a great thing, and when we have somebody who's been that outstanding in a school, and has left a mark that we should recall that person and have it there, something named after them. So that building will forever be Carol Shaw. All right.
Absolutely.
Is our gentleman here yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Okay, moving on to 7.2. 7.2, school-sponsored student organizations.
So moved.
Except for 7.2, 5.
7.2.5.
Yes, we have
We
el-
took that out.
That was pulled.
That
but
we pulled.
The audience doesn't know that.
Do I have a second?
So I moved it.
Second.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Good evening, all, and thank you for coming. Any questions? Any comments?
Nope.
Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Did you? Yeah. Oh, one more.
Aye.
There we go. Now it's official.
Okay, reports.
Yeah, just keep going.
Okay, let's keep going. Okay, reports. 8.1, student representative, your report. You're on, Abdullah.
All right. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to share a few things that are going along at the district and some updates that I, along with the other ambassadors, have. So across the district, I'm so happy to announce that all students have received an Okta bus pass if they signed up for one, which is a really great thing that everyone's really excited for, because now we have a new means of transportation for students that didn't have one before. All ambassadors are now serving on our district task forces and have had many opportunities to advocate for student voice across the district. I, along with my fellow ambassadors, are also trained on our Career Preparedness Systems Framework, which we will soon be presenting to parents and students across the school sites. So check us out when we go do those. And we're going to have the great chance to share these presentations on November 5th at an Artificial Intelligence Summit, which we just found out that we are invited to. And one of my best pieces of news right now that I'd like to share is that for the first time in ambassador history, we officially have a school site ambassador for Hope School. His name is Adrian Barrios.
Yes.
Thank you. So hopefully he'll be able to join us at our next meeting once we get him a nice outfit like this one. So hopefully you'll get to see him soon.
Great.
Yeah, it's great. I'm really excited about that. Many of our schools had their homecoming game and dance for the first time in almost 2 years, so it's great to see that we're finally getting back to our new normal. Thanks to Grant, Anaheim High School students have been able to purchase a refrigerator, which they are calling their community fridge program, and everyone's really excited about that because they get to share all these non-perishable items and dairy products and whatnot for their community. Oxford Academy's robotics team participated in a nationwide first technology competition kickoff. They also participated along with Cyprus in the Jack Howe tournament, which junior from Oxford Academy Benjamin Huang placed first in his event, along with Rebecca Chow from Cyprus High School. Viren Mehta from Oxford Academy also placed first place in the National Speech and Debate for Varsity Lincoln Douglas. Oxford Academy and CVA Korean language program was honored by many distinguished guests, such as the Vice Consulate from Korea, for unveiling a new Korean class in media, being the first in the nation, which we got to hear from today. Many schools like Loera are holding activities for Hispanic Heritage Month that are showcasing the different heritages and communities that we have here in the district. Kennedy High School, in fact, is holding a community processing circle about the Hispanic heritage, and they're having an open discussion about their culture. Loera High School is also having a House of Reps meeting for the first time this year, and they're going to be informing students about all the info that's going on, such as the Board of Trustee meeting today. Since the last Board of Trustee meeting, many schools have held forums, in fact, for dress code to help inform students about some of the guidelines that were kind of confusing. Savannah High School held a forum where students all watched a presentation that got to clarify some of the rules that they had some confusions about. And Magnolia High School is working with their administration and students to kind of shift the discussion around dress code so that people understand that it's not about body shaming or being judged, but instead about school environment. And I wanted to take this time because I was told that 4 graduates from Gilbert High School have officially graduated, so I want to take this time to announce their names: Christopher Dominguez, Carlos Mendoza, Angeline Cuetro, Guillermo Zuniga. So I just want to shout them out real quick.
All right.
Congrats, everybody. And finally, I just want to close out this report with a few quotes that I got from a few students that I'd like to share. So one student said, "I felt very welcomed and safe returning back to on-school learning. I'm happy that I can resume activities and events in person." That was from Andrea Rodarte, a senior at Anaheim High School. Another student shared, "As a junior, I feel very stressed about being in school as searching for information about scholarships and how I get to be involved in school is scarce to come by. However, I am very delighted about how enthusiastic teachers are about teaching in person because as a student, one could tell how passionate teachers have become. It has been tough to adopt the new circumstances we were left in after online school, but it has awakened people's desire to teach and learn." This was by Yedrike Gomez, class of 23 from Loera High School. And finally, being in person has definitely helped me in terms of understanding the material and paying attention in class. This has made doing the homework a lot easier compared to online, but there is a large increase of workload from previous years, which I'm trying to work on. Sophomore from Western High School. Thank you.
All right, very
you, Abdullah.
good. Thank you. Good report. I like the fact that you got some comments from some of the students from the various schools. That's very good.
Thank you.
That's great to hear. Thank you. Okay, I believe our
Guests are here, yeah.
guests are here. So we will back to donations from City National Bank. Okay. City National Bank is a full-service bank that offers a complement of banking, trust, and investment services. At City National, they proudly offer services, tools, and technology that put people and communities first. Their core belief is to make a difference in the community by investing in the communities they serve. They take pride in their literacy program and support local schools with yearly backpacks supply, as well as volunteer with school districts. When their Irvine office was closing in March, the first thing that came to mind was how to distribute furniture to local nonprofits or communities rather than just leaving it for movers to put it in waste. City National started calling, and part of that call was to Trustee Al-Jabbar. The district picked up most of the furniture to be used for our Community Resource Center at Sycamore Junior High School. On behalf of the board and the Anaheim Union High School District community, we thank you profusely for your generous donation. All right.
And I want to share quick words. I know we have Yasmin Hussein back there, so we will probably ask you to come up forward. With also my sister, who works for the bank, Shamila Hasim, who's also back there. So I would like to, while they come up, I just want to mention that Ms. Hussein has been a big supporter of the Sycamore community. We did a couple of backpack drives, which assisted some of our families in Sycamore Junior High. She also spearheaded a food distribution program for our kids or families who are actually affected by COVID. So that happened, but at the same time, she was also very active and involved in the community. I think she has a private group which actually goes ahead and raises funds for communities that are in need. So I'm glad that my sister put me in touch with her, so we are actually in a good place to support our Anaheim communities which are in need. So thank you very much on behalf of the board and the community. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much. I don't know if it's worked, but my apologies to be late. I thought 10 miles will take me in about 45 minutes, but it took me an hour and a half, so my apology.
Wow.
But I just want to thank you guys for giving us an opportunity to work with you. Thank you for giving us in touch with the Anaheim School District. And I was actually looking at my new office storage room, and I found a lot of things. I think we can talk about it so we can distribute to the school. Thank you for everything.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
I just want to make a point that the furniture that was used is going to our new community school, and it's more than $5,000 worth, so I'm very appreciative
Phenomenal.
of that. Thank you.
No, don't go away yet. Come.
We got it.
Okay, and do we have the branch manager also here?
No, it's, actually, she's the branch
He
manager.
is the branch manager. Oh, I'm sorry. And anybody else come up forward, please, and we'll give you a presentation and take a picture. Thank you so much for thinking about that instead of wasting it and giving it. Thank you very much. That is so well appreciated and used. Thank you.
Can we take our masks off just for the picture? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Let's give him applause. We are so appreciative in this district of anything which we are given or donated. Things like that furniture, it's a great asset for us. You know, we put it to good use and we appreciate it very, very much. And of course, the financial support for the Korean language, outstanding. Okay, next will be our reports of the associations. We'll start with ASTA, Grant Schuster. We'll have you come back up and speak as the president of ASTA.
Thank you. Good evening, Board President Piercy, trustees, cabinet, and others in attendance here and online. We've made it through one of the most difficult first quarters of a year that we've all experienced. There have been challenges and obstacles too numerous to list. So tonight, I just want to acknowledge what we're all going through. To the board, we know how hard it has been to represent your constituencies, so impacted over the past year and a half, the concern, frustration, and anger foisted upon you regularly by a community passionate about their children and their safety has been a massive load on your work, and your work is appreciated. To the cabinet, in addition to all of the same contacts that you receive that are similar to those on the board, you also plan and implement all of the programs and protocols that support students, employees, and the community. We see what you do and acknowledge how difficult and stressful it has been. To all of our district and site support staff, your time and effort spent on a daily basis with the students and families is invaluable. Families show up at schools with needs far beyond the scope that we have been trained or funded to address, but you take everyone in and do whatever you can to help them. We see you doing this and acknowledge the wear it has put on you this year. To my ASTA members in the classrooms, nurses' offices, and speech therapy rooms, I want to lift up all that you are doing this year under extraordinary circumstances. Bringing students back to a campus setting after such a long absence, coupled with the anxiety and trauma so many of our children have returned to school with, has made your jobs more challenging than ever. We see the toll it has taken and acknowledge all that you are doing to support students and create conditions for them to grow and thrive once again. There are countless stories of stress and struggle, and all of us wondering at times how we're all going to possibly get through this. But we're going to do it together. And it's really important for us not to just acknowledge each other, but then look for ways that we can support each other and ease the burden and stress and make it easier to get through this difficult time. We must acknowledge what we're all going through, and as their leaders, We must continue to find ways to support all of our employees, whatever needs they have, so their focus can stay on students. I, along with ASTA leadership, am committed to do so, and we know that everyone else in this room will join us. I would also like to discuss, on another topic, our progress with community schools. ASTA has continued to work with parents, community group representatives, and district personnel to organize the stakeholders in order to nurture our community schools by getting input regarding their structure and implementation, as well as reviewing programs in place. Tanya Garcia, the Anaheim High School's community school coordinator, and I had a presentation this morning at Anaheim High School at their late start meeting. We have already had stakeholders responding to become part of the site team. ASTA is working with CTA to make sure these collaborative teams are part of the requirements put in place in order to receive a community schools grant from the state. We must reinforce the neighborhood public school as the foundational cornerstone of every local community. Our process will do just that. To close, I want to again acknowledge the work of ASTA members and everyone else in the district, and call on all of us to keep an eye out for each other, for our students, for our families, and other employees in need of any kind of support. We must provide whatever we can to keep everyone safe, healthy, and prepared to learn in our schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Grant. And then we have the ALTA Vice President, Amanda Bean.
Good evening, Board President Piercy, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Matsuda, Cabinet, guests, and those joining us online. First, I'd like to give a shout out to all of our school administrators. We are in the week of the school administrator, so I want to acknowledge just the hard work of this group, the evenings, weekends, all the things that they do to support our teachers, our counselors, the other administrators, students, and families. We know that they're working very hard to make sure our schools are safe and wonderful places to be. Some of the things going on for the administrative team is that we just had the Ed Summit this last Monday, and so I want to just give them a shout out for their support of helping us get our facilities ready. We held the Ed Summit across various sites, and so our teams needed to help us get rooms and technology ready, and just to make sure that we had a successful event for our teaching and clerical staff. Sites are in full swing right now with student activities, including homecoming and athletics, and having lots of fun doing that. They've been very busy coordinating the implementation of our district-wide system around the college and career fair, and so working with their teams to make sure that students are getting registered on the Socio platform, to making sure the Thrively assessments are taking place, and that students are having career exploration activities prior to attending the college and career fair, and just making sure those systems on their campuses are running. They're busy holding Saturday academies and the upcoming PSAT, which is actually this coming Saturday. Also, in the middle of reviewing first quarter data and looking for opportunities for real-time grade recovery for students, and making sure that we're supporting students before they might not pass a course at the end of the semester. And they're starting to have conversations around master schedule and those reflective conversations to help aid us in this year's planning. Also continuing with coffee with the principals and having various parent nights on campus. So again, while it's very busy, our teams are very happy to be with students and supporting the community, and I'm so happy to be back in person and to be able to just have a good time and again, meet the needs of our families. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other, let's see, PTA or APGA? We have Sylvia? Sylvia? Okay, Sylvia, no. I can't see you with the mask.
My hair's different today. I straightened it for you, so a little. Hello, trustees, district cabinet, AUHSD students, families, and community members. Prior to COVID, we used this time to allow our schools to come and report on their counseling programs. Tonight, I am honored to be able to introduce two counseling programs, Catella High School and South Junior High. We will begin this evening with my friend and colleague, Mr. Ken Gompert, speaking on behalf of Catella's counseling department. After him, Ms. Candace Dion will be sharing for South Junior High School. Thank you.
Good evening, Board. It's nice to see you again. I'm Ken Gompert, counselor at Catella High School. Joining me tonight is my principal, Dr. Hernandez, Lacey Munger, counselor, and Counselor Janet Lowe. We were doing the math of our counseling team, and we have over 100 years of experience here at Anaheim Union as counselors. And if you take the number that we work with cohorts of 4 years, and then you multiply it by our caseload, that comes about 17,000. That's about 17,000 students that we've had direct contact with during our tenure. And that's just Catella High School. And that's pretty significant if you think about it, because as a professional school counselor, we have an opportunity to reach a lot of students. And not just in the schools, because I was at the dentist, and my dentist asked me, what do you do for a living? I said, I'm a professional school counselor. I worked at Cypress High School and now work at Catella. And she says, you've got to be kidding me. My best friend went to one of your schools. She might have been your counselor or your student. I said, well, what was your friend's name? She says, Fabulous. But her name was not Fabulous. I'm just going to tell you right now. But she had a fabulous name, one you would never forget. And she says, yeah, Fabulous. She went to New York. She studied fashion. She started her own business, super successful, happier than ever. And as a counselor listening to that, that's music to the ears. So of course I left, and no cavities, just so you know. Came back 6 months later, because I go every 6 months, and she says, Ken, you won't believe who I had lunch with. Fabulous. I told her that you were my client. And she says, oh, Mr. Gompert. Wow, Mr. Gompert. Wow. I'll tell you, and I'm not bragging, but she says, I don't know if I would have been in New York had it not been for his guidance. I was in his office every day, constantly getting guidance from him. Now, let's be honest. Long-term memories are distorted. And it's not likely she was in my office every single day. I know that to be true. But I know long-term memories are distorted, but they're distorted by emotion. And I know that whatever she left with positive regard, she left with support. And that I can say did happen, not just by me, but also by my team, by the professional school counselors in our district. Now, I tell you the story because this situation with the dentist was fairly recent, but she graduated 17 years ago, and she's still telling that story. So what we do as professional school counselors, yes, it does affect the immediate, but it is long and far-reaching, and it affects our entire community, even the dentist's office. I'm a celebrity in the dentist's office now, so it's kind of nice. But I do want to take the time to thank you because I've always felt great support from our board, from our district administration, from our site administration, because we do know that professional school counselors make a big difference. So I want to take the time to thank you, and it's good to see you again. Have a fabulous evening.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening. I'm Cecilia Soberanis. I'm one of the counselors at South Junior High. I love that Ken highlighted a student that we see the success after years. Today I want to share a story with you of a student that we're seeing success in the now, in the today, and I think this is a great way to highlight what we do as a profession. So this year, more than most, quarter one at South Junior High and every other counseling office across the district has it's been a time to explore our students and their stories, their needs, how we can support them. Each day, unique in its own way, has provided us with the opportunity to build rapport and support students through a myriad of experiences. During a year of such high social emotional need, it's difficult to choose just one student on which to focus on in this narrative. And so we chose a student. We're going to name this student Student S. It's not as clever as Fabulous. I wish I would have thought of something like that. But Student S it is. As a cohesive and collaborative counseling team, all three of the counselors at South Junior High have developed an invested interest in the well-being and success of this student. Each of us have brainstormed ways to support him as he navigates the challenges and successes of his junior high experience. We first learned of this student during our elementary school counselor collaboration, which ensures a smooth transition with our most at-risk rising 7th graders. It was shared with us that student S should be challenged in honors classes, and we noticed that student S did not request any honors classes. So we were able, through meeting with the student, with their family, able to make sure that we met their needs by providing them with honors classes in their schedule. However, there was so much more to learn about him as we delved a little deeper through the CUME reviews, consultations with teachers, meetings with parents, and daily interactions with the students. Experiencing significant anxiety during the first few weeks of school, this student needed help advocating for his needs as a member of South's LGBTQ+ community. We helped him with emails that outlined his preferred name and pronouns with his teachers so that his authentic self could be recognized. Additionally, a 5-minute grace period at the end of class before PE was given so that student S could change in a gender-neutral bathroom. Through the development of supports such as these, we discovered that there are some other hurdles based on our PE uniforms that this student has been very vocal in our South GSA, which we call the Rainbow Warriors, which is advised by 2 of our school counselors. And he has vowed to voice his opinion on the topic and make some real change in our South community. He even ran for a leadership position in our Rainbow Warriors. Through the process of getting to know this student and helping him manage his anxiety with daily check-ins scheduled for each morning before class, during those few minutes, the student was able to share thoughts, emotions, processes, and challenges. It gave him a place to feel safe and supported before starting a hectic and stressful day. The rapport that was built during these moments led the student to self-reporting suicide ideation. Once a formal risk assessment was conducted, the student appeared to be low risk. And the benefit of this was that we were able to provide the student and his family with resources outside of the school setting that offer opportunities for both individual and family counseling. Although we never know what the next day will bring, we have watched student S become more independent and comfortable with his identity. He is advocating for himself more often. He is also excelling in his honors classes and now only checking in on the mornings when he feels that it's necessary. He was even a September Student of the Month. The school counseling team looks forward to a year of growth for this student as well as all the other students that we have at South Junior High. South Junior High, we're so lucky to have a hardworking and caring team, and this is just one story of how school counselors can really affect change in the here and now and the today of every student. So thank you for taking the time for us to share these stories. They're just one in a million of stories that are currently happening at AUHSD, actually, so thank you so much.
Okay, lots of work. Thank you. Okay, PTSA report. Do we have the parent-teacher representative here? Don't see any. Okay. So we will move on to our presentations. And our first presentation this evening will be about trustee area boundary adjustment. Following comprehensive study and community input, the district transitioned to a by-trustee area election method in 2014. Education Code Section 5019.5 requires that the district adjust trustee area boundaries so they are proportional to the number of trustees and overall population of the district based on the decennial federal census. I will refer the rest of this presentation to Carl Waddell.
Thank you, Trustee Piercy. Tonight we're happy to welcome the team that will be assisting the district. Mr. Justin Rich from Cooperative Strategies is here and he'll present to you. I'd like to welcome him up to the podium. With him is Michael Toy. He's an attorney with Parker Covert who's also assisting tonight.
I got it. Good evening. Thank you for having me here tonight. As was discussed, we're here to come back, and after 8 years now, when the trustee areas were originally adopted, we're going to review based on the 2020 census data to see both the demographics and the population balance for your trustee areas. And I think there's a couple of key things that as demographers, when we went through your data, there's a couple of things that stood out to us. First of all, there's been overall population growth within the district of 3.3%. So that's from 2010 to 2020. And there's also been some shifts in terms of the demographics of the district, and probably not surprising for you all that live in the community, and so we'll highlight some of those. What we see based on our analysis, and we'll talk more about this, but the key under Education Code 5019.5, what we're supposed to do is make sure that after the census that trustee areas are roughly in balance. So what we look at, you'll see in I guess it's the 5th column here where it shows the variance. The variance between the smallest and the largest trustee area is 9%, and generally we're shooting for under 10%, so I think that's good news. You'll see that trustee area 1 is the smallest, and it has a variance of negative 4.1% below that ideal size. And trustee area 2 is the largest, about 4.8% above the ideal size or average. I will say also that the deadline for completing this process is February 28, 2022. That's a few months away, and again, that's if necessary, that's if the board decides to make any adjustments to the maps. So I've provided a snapshot here based on the 2020 census data, and this shows the demographic composition of the district based on that new data. We've showed both the total population and also, for reference, the age 18 and over population. You'll see that now your total population is just shy of 400,000, and it shows that your largest protected class, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, is the Latinx group, and at 47.6%. When we talk about protected classes, this is as defined by the Federal Voting Rights Act. These are racial and language minority groups, and again, we'll talk a little bit more about how that factors into drawing boundaries. We've also shown the citizen voting age population, and for those that can recall the last process, the relevance of that is to make sure that we're looking at not just the total number of people, which is what the census counts and what we showed, but also to look at who are the likely eligible voters, and this is prepared by the American Community Survey, the 2015 through 2019 citizen voting age population. And so these numbers obviously are smaller than the total population, but this is a proxy that we use to determine who's likely to vote in an election. Again, the largest protected class is the Latinx group at just about 38%. Just by means of orientation here, we've included the current trustee areas, the map that you adopted previously. For reference, and I think that this was a key highlight of the last process, is just to overlay the high school attendance boundaries on this. So you'll see the red lines show the various high school attendance boundaries. And, excuse me, the colored areas show the current trustee areas. It's probably a little hard to see exactly what those are. Area 1 is in yellow, Area 2 is in green, Area 3 is in red, Area 4 is in blue, and Area 5 is sort of a pink color. So on this slide, I want to point out a couple of things. First of all, when we're looking at variance, I talked about that earlier. When we're looking at variance, this is really just a fairly simple math problem. We take the total population and we divide that by the number of trustee areas, And that gives us our average or our ideal size. And then when we're calculating the variance, what we do is we take the largest and we take the smallest and we calculate what the difference is, and then we divide that by that ideal size. That gives us our variance in terms of percentage. Again, I pointed out that area 1 is the smallest in terms of total population, and 2 is the largest in terms of total population. Those are the colors, or the columns, I should say, that are lightly colored. And then in the darker columns, we've included the percentages of the citizen voting age population as well. As was the case when you originally adopted these boundaries, you have a majority Latinx group based on citizen voting age population of just about 56%. That's up from, I had it here, it was roughly 52% if I remember correctly previously, so that's grown. And you are close to having a majority, but you have a plurality of Latinx voters, again, based on citizen voting age population in Trustee Area 2. Again, the total variance, looking at the total population, is just about 9%. And so, as demographers, when we're looking at drawing these areas, there's a number of different considerations that go into that. And I'll categorize those 2 ways. There's things that we must do in order to comply with the law, and then there's other things that we should do based on stuff that is in the California Education Code, and we should do to the extent possible. But it also represents good, keeping communities together, good representation, and I think that's the idea behind these. So in that first category, the things that we must do is we must roughly balance each area. And they will not be and won't, they won't be perfect, but they will be roughly balanced. And again, we take that to mean based on legal precedents that anything less than 10% kind of gives you the safe harbor. So that's the first thing we have to do. The second thing we have to do is we have to comply with the Federal Voting Rights Act. And that means that we will not draw areas such that it impairs the ability of a protected class to elect the candidate of their choice. You may be familiar with the terms packing and cracking. We wouldn't want to draw areas such that it diminished the influence of one of these protected classes by either grouping them together in a way that kept them from having their full voice heard in another area, or drawing it such that it split those protected classes and diminished it that way. So that's another thing that we must comply with. We should also keep them as compact and contiguous as much as possible. Sometimes these things can be a balancing act when we have varying degrees of population density and communities and neighborhoods and things like that, but to the extent we can, we should. We should also respect communities of interest, and in this context, we define that as groups that have shared social and economic characteristics. This could be groups based on national origin or religion or other things of that nature. Oftentimes, the boundaries for those communities of interest may be natural or man-made geographic boundaries, whether it's major roads or highways or railroad tracks, things like that. So we should also take that into consideration. Those often make logical choices for dividing lines. And to the extent we can, and this shouldn't be a predominant concern, but we should also respect incumbency to the extent that we can. There's other local considerations, and although I wasn't involved the entire process, I do recall when you drew your boundaries previously, there was thought about the high school attendance boundaries, so that might be something that you would consider, or other factors that make sense for your community and for your role providing K-12 education. So that's all I have. I'm happy to to answer any questions, and if I can't answer them, I'm sure Mike will be able to answer any of the legal questions.
Do I have any questions from board members? Anne Marie, Mrs. Trejo.
So just bottom line, even though there was a growth in trustee area 2, it's still, we're still in compliance because you said it's under the 10%.
Yeah, that's correct. There's a legal presumption, excuse me, that below 10%, and this is based on federal voting rights or federal voting law cases, that if you're below 10%, you're still roughly balanced, and there may be rationales as to why you might not be. Again, we can't be perfectly balanced across the board, but yeah, if you're below 10%, I think most would tell you that you're in a good spot.
Is there a should? Is there a should? And if there is, what would that percentage be?
Yeah, I mean, I think if there's aspects of the boundaries currently that you would want to look at, that, maybe there is a community that is being split, or there's a neighborhood that's being split, and that's something that, is concerning, then I think this would be the time to address that. Really, that section of the education code is just to ensure that you're within balance, and so that's the purpose of this. And again, based on that criteria, you are in balance, but as a board, you have the option to address other things if you want.
This was a very arduous process, and this was we were really pleased with our balance, and so yeah.
Okay.
It's just nice to see that we have maintained a pretty good balance, generally speaking, that we haven't gone way one way or the other. So thank you for your report.
You're welcome.
So, I have a few questions. So, I see that we're obviously under the variance of 10%, we're meeting that. But looking at the growth model, right? Growth of District 2 and looking at District 1 because of the decrease in growth, would it be, I wouldn't say, not legally, but would it be a good advice to take a look at the districts and maybe redraw the maps just so that we are ready for, 10 years from now, right? That we're not overbalancing ourselves by District 2 exploding in population, because it makes a big difference. I've been looking at the Anaheim City maps, right? And we see where the growth is in the Platinum Triangle area. There's a possibility that could increase. So my question to you is that, is it advisable for us to take a look at it now, since we're in the process, and redraw the boundaries at least to balance out? In this case, it would be, I don't see any difference in 4 and 5, but maybe 1, 2, and 3, adjust the boundaries a little bit so that it makes sense to get that without compromising any of the other numbers.
Yeah, I think that's a question that you all have to consider and weigh. Again, do the boundaries work well currently? Are there areas where we could make some slight adjustments to bring those more into balance? To your point, I think that's completely valid to look into the future and know that there's going to be a certain amount of growth that's still coming in those areas, and to plan accordingly. The good thing is that you are going to address this every 10 years, and so you will have those opportunities to rebalance in the future, but it's a long period of time as well. So
what would be the process? So we're right now, you're giving us a presentation of it.
Yep.
And let's say that you come back at the direction of the board to say, look at different models of the map again, or if the board decides, no, I think we're meeting all the criteria, so we don't want to move forward, then this ends today, right?
Certainly, yeah.
So let's say we do give direction to go back and take a look at the maps. What would it be like to open up the process in terms of not only the board, but the community getting involved?
Yeah, and there's there's nothing that's laid out in statute. There's no legal requirement about how you approach that. I think there's a lot of school districts, the way that they're approaching it is they're holding public hearings. If they go through that process of redrawing maps and, and inviting the community in, they're using, their information resources, their website, social media in order to get the word out there. Some opt for holding community meetings, and so there's really a wide spectrum of, how folks approach that.
And I'm just looking at the process at the city and the county. We have enough time to do all that before the February deadline, correct?
Yeah, it depends how we would sequence it, just in terms of when those board meetings would happen where you would review maps and how many meetings would be required and how many iterations we would go through. So, yeah, I think that's a...
So my question to Carl, what happens after tonight's presentation? After this discussion, does a board member make the motion to say, go back and come back, or open up the process to redraw maps, or?
Tonight's meeting was really just informational to explain the data. It was released 2 weeks ago. We're starting the process. It's only an information item. I don't know if Mr. Toy wants to maybe explain what the legal process would be for next steps, but we will go and have a discussion about this, and then if we're going to move further, which we may want to do, we'll backwards map it from the deadline.
Good evening, Board President Percy and members of the board. As cooperative strategies laid out, for school districts, the procedures that the school board wants to follow is very open. Cities and counties are under a statutory scheme. So if you direct staff to say that you want to follow a particular procedure that one of the constituent cities in Anaheim follows, you may follow it, you do not have to follow it. You can listen to what feedback you get. If you take a look at what we did in 2014, there was a particular section of your website that was set up. You published all of the data on your website, and then on your website, if you decided that maybe one or more community hearings would be feasible, you can do that. If you want to have a public hearing, if you direct cooperative strategies to publish one or more draft maps, there is no legal requirement, but we do recommend that you give at least 7 days notice of putting the map up on your website so that the community can respond to it. Just remember that the cities and counties are under a tighter deadline than school boards are. The cities and counties, I believe, are probably have to do this by January. So there's going to...
Primary election?
Yeah, with the primary election, they're under a tighter process, so you as a board can take a look at what's happening with the city and perhaps the constituent elementary school districts to see
Right.
what they're doing. There's going to be plenty of time between now and February the 28th in order to do that.
Are we stuck to that February 28th deadline?
Yes,
Because,
you are. The Ed Code says that if the school board, the local school board, does not take action to adjust its trustee area boundaries, the County Office of Education and the County Committee on School District Organization have the ability to do it on their own. Unlike the procedure that we undertook in 2014, where the board received a number of maps, picked a particular map that they wanted to go with, and then submit that to the County Committee on School District Reorganization. That procedural step does not take place this time. It's totally within the discretion of the board between now and February the 28th to consider any adjustments to the boundaries if the board wants to.
Okay.
Thank you for answering that, because I thought that this process took a really long time, and if we don't have to do that.
Yes, the procedures for moving from at-large to by trustee areas is set forth in statute, but once you've moved from at-large to trustee area elections, it's pretty much within the board's discretion in order to how to do that. And if you remember, if there are members of the board who ran for election before 2014, you had to run at large, and so there was a lot more shoe leather. I don't know if people still do that or if everybody does it by Facebook nowadays, but for the 5 trustees, before they used to have to run throughout the district, now it's within the trustee area boundaries. So it's a much a simpler way of campaigning.
Yes.
All right, well, I'm done with the questions, but I would like the board to entertain maybe coming back and at least taking a look at redrawing the maps just to make sure that we're balancing out certain trustee areas. So that's
Yes,
just my opinion.
and moving back from that February the 28th deadline, we've been telling our clients that you should publish at least 7 days before the February the 28th if you want to make any adjustments, so staff can take a look at your, the board schedule, February the 28th, what's the first or second meeting of February, and then work backwards from that. Or you can move quicker, but, I would suggest that as a starting point for staff to give you some options, and then the board can make a decision as if what procedures you want to undergo in order to get the map adjusted if necessary.
Yeah.
I just kind of take exception to a deadline. I think it's still a little bit early, but, we're just getting this data from the census. So I find that, objectionable.
Well, it was unfortunate that the census data was late this year. Yeah, about 6 months late. It would have been nice if the people up in Sacramento had given some more time. But from February the 28th, the steps that has to happen is that those maps have to go to the registrar of voters, and then they've got to figure, and in 2014, when people were elected at large, it was very easy. Once you moved to by trustee areas, it created a lot of logistical steps for the registrar of voters. You could be in one area for Anaheim Union. You could be in a separate area for the city council. You could be in a separate area for your feeder elementary school district. And, before everybody was at large, it was very simple for the registrar of voters. Now, they really need the February 28th date in order to make sure that they can do a June election as well as a November election.
All right. Thank you for explaining that, and thank you for telling us that it was 6 months. So our public understands that we have to get this done pretty quickly. Thank you.
Okay, and I think cooperative strategies, as I said, you're within the Ed Code 5019.5 now in terms of the, the population. So that's the baseline that your district is starting from.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, our next presentation will be on the COVID-19 and the reopening of our schools. Dr. Freed?
Yes, while they're transitioning, good evening again, Board President Piercy, members of our board, to my colleagues on the cabinet, and then our guests and colleagues in the audience and those watching online. Gives me great pleasure tonight to be joined by our Director of Risk Management. We're going to give you a brief update on some items related to COVID-19 and related protocols. I will also be sharing an update around the educational summit that we had last week and highlight with a video that was made to highlight our work as a district. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Leanna Williams.
Good evening, President Piercy, Board of Trustees, Cabinet, Mr. Matsuda, guests joining us this evening. Just some quick updates on our COVID efforts right now. So we continue to post our dashboard up weekly. We are updating those numbers. As if you've been looking at the dashboard, you see that the numbers do go in ebbs and flows. What we can trace the student increases and decreases to our activities. So obviously when we have a positive athlete, we have to then take a look at all the sport teams and identify those close contacts. And so when you have a positive person, it could sometimes lead anywhere to 10 to almost 24 kids having to be quarantined. So we're seeing the spikes in those numbers related to those types of activities. We are doing well with our staff positivity rates. Those numbers have been decreasing over the last few weeks. And so we will continue to update those numbers every Friday. So this is the big day. On August 11th, the governor issued the mandatory weekly testing for any public, private school employees who were not fully vaccinated. And fully vaccinated in the order means those people who have not received, fully vaccination means an individual who has received both doses of the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccine 2 weeks after that second dose, or the single dose of the Johnson & Johnson. If you are anything outside of that, you are not considered fully vaccinated. So anyone who only has one dose of the two dose is partially vaccinated. So we were mandated to have weekly testing put in place by October 15th. Tomorrow's October 15th. However, I am happy to say that we were able to get and launch our weekly mandate testing effective Monday, October 18th. We have partnered with the state and through them have partnered with Mobile Med. Mobile Med will be coming to each one of our sites 1 day a week. We've actually got a resource of 6 team members from Mobile Med, and we've scheduled it such that you have at least 1 to 3 people at each site, about 5 sites in the morning, 5 sites in the afternoon. And they'll be rotating throughout the district every day. And we will have that testing available for our staff members. So there is on-site testing available. Employees are not bound to test on-site though. Employees can seek to test off-site if they would like. However, we do encourage that employees do test with us. It's convenient. It's right there on their site, but they can also seek testing anywhere else at one of the district offered locations. So we've scheduled it to where junior high schools are testing in the morning, and we've got high schools testing in the afternoon. Part of that is because we would like to offer the wrestlers or those athletes who are mandated to test weekly as well, be able to receive the testing on their sites. So we've made it to where the high schools will test in the afternoon. So in this particular moment, the wrestlers can participate in the testing. This portion of the partnership with CDPH will run through December of 2021, at which point we may be eligible for an additional 6-month extension of this program.
So that CDPH grant, you mean?
Correct.
So we will be getting 6 months?
We could be eligible, yes, for an additional 6 months. However, it'll be 2 weeks ago, tomorrow, that the governor issued a new mandate. This mandate being that all employees of public and private schools, K through 12, must be vaccinated, in addition to mandatory vaccination for students. And this mandate can be as early as January 1st or July 1st of 2022. And the mandate will be in effect the term following full FDA approval of the vaccinations for those students ages 12 to 18. Okay? So there's not more beyond that we know. Obviously, we will have, there will be some discussions on exemptions and what qualifies for exemptions and how exactly school districts will implement this fully. But that is something that we are keeping an eye on, because that could occur as early as January 1st for the mandatory testing, or vaccination.
So that obviously, as of right now, it's just Pfizer.
Just as of right now, just Pfizer for
the fully vaccinated.
FDA approved.
FDA approved.
that's fully FDA approved. I don't believe we have I don't believe they're either one of them, any of them are fully FDA approved.
I thought Pfizer did.
No. I don't believe so.
No, did a couple weeks ago.
No.
Yeah, it's not.
I thought so too, but maybe we both.
But I can check for you.
It's just the booster.
No.
It was given a booster. I don't believe it's been fully FDA approved, though.
It's not, it's, that's for the next variant of this booster. And that's only.
Well, you can proceed, go ahead.
I'll get back to you, sir. Are there any other questions related to our mandatory weekly testing that we are launching on Monday? Or with the upcoming mandate as we know it today?
Just congratulations on getting that done. That's amazing work.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to conclude our presentation with a review of our Anaheim Union Educational Summit. As you know, each year annually we meet as a district on a non-student day to do professional learning geared towards our district's drivers, set forth by the vision of our board and of course implemented through our superintendent, cabinet, and site leaders, both admin, teachers, and classified staff and counselors alike. So on this day, October 11th, we did something a little different this year. We took all of our content area folks and spread them out across the different sites. What we did is we allowed sites to really go deep with their content-specific work. I'm really proud to say that our curriculum specialist did just an incredible job leading this effort. The feedback we had been given was tremendous in terms of the work and the impact of what they were learning and engaging in on that day. It was all centered around instructional practices geared and connected to their content. I would also be remiss if I didn't take a moment to also thank our directors, our coordinators, and our program administrators. They often helped facilitate this day as well, given some of the content areas or the teams that they also serve or oversee. So it was a really beautiful day that engaged our stakeholders, our staff stakeholders across the district. On this day also, we unveiled district-wide the launch of the Career Preparedness Systems Framework. As you may recall, CPSF, as we often refer to it, really embodies three concepts that we want to make sure are alive and well and front and center in what happens in a classroom each and every day. The first of the three circles talks about the 5 C's, or what we call the soft skills. Right? Those soft skills are something that we would want to see in every classroom every day. That's the collaboration, communication, critical thinking, creativity, and of course the most important in our opinion is the compassion and good character. The second of the three circles incorporates what we call the hard skills. This is the more traditional content. It also connects with certification that you might get through the Google certificates or dual enrollment courses with Cypress and Fullerton College, along with courses they may take through our partnership with North Orange County ROP, where students can actually earn certification based on courses that they take. And then the third circle talks about really empowering our students in their voice and helping them find their passion and their purpose. So these three circles make up that Career Preparedness Systems framework. And again, on Monday, we launched that district-wide. What I want to share with you as a launch to our presentation, I know Paulina's going to put this up for us, is a video that we want to share with you. As the board may recall, a few months ago, we brought forward an item for a gentleman named Dr. Kevin Fleming, who is going to be working with our district to develop a video that really tells our story, talks about this framework and the work that we're doing to transform education, in hopes that we can also connect and collaborate with other districts across not just the county, but the state and nationally to help continue to transform education as we rapidly see the world of work changing before our eyes, and the drivers that we maybe once had in K-12 education, they're not necessarily the same drivers that will help prepare our kids for the demands the world of work is asking for now. So this video is a beautiful tribute to the work that we're doing as a district. Just know it's also being done in 5 other languages, so it's going to be something we plan to use to support and share with our families, our communities, again, with other colleagues in other districts throughout the country to really help frame the dialogue around the need for this kind of change. So with that, Paulina, go ahead and hit play and enjoy the video.
Over the past several years, many Americans have experienced economic turmoil and unemployment. Families and communities are suffering. Many of the jobs that have disappeared will not return, and almost half of all existing jobs are likely to be replaced by technology in the future. In addition, the employability gap, that's the gap between what skills employers need and what skills workers have, is growing larger. Most school systems are failing to address the skills development challenge adequately. We must act urgently to rebuild the California economy and train young people for the jobs of the future to ensure they are college, career, and life ready. Thankfully, over the past decade, innovative educators and advocates have pushed career education in California, embracing a more holistic approach to developing academic, workforce, and real-world skills together. In fact, according to the California Department of Education, students who complete a rigorous academic core coupled with a career concentration have equal or higher test scores, a higher graduation rate, are more likely to pursue post-secondary education, and have a higher grade point average in college. In short, it works. However, there are still challenges to successful career education in schools and missed opportunities due to disjointed frameworks and lack of alignment between educators, systems, and employers. There is a shortage of relevant courses for students, and often the failure to put student purpose at the forefront. In the current mixture of career readiness strategies across California, students are not receiving long-term coordinated support in building their post-secondary futures, and too many still view career education as an extra and not related to traditional general education subjects. Moreover, according to Anaheim Union High School District Superintendent Michael Matsuda, the ultimate barometer of social justice in society is access to meaningful and purposeful jobs. Well, we realize that this intersection of academic skills, workforce skills, and civic skills is where we could improve student long-term success. This is why the Anaheim Union High School District developed the Career Preparedness Systems Framework. It's a leading model for workforce development where young people can pursue their learning and work passions. Through this framework, AUHSD has maximized its internal alignment and infrastructure around 3 essential components: 21st century skills, technical skills, and cultivation of youth voice and purpose. 21st century skills, also called power or life skills, are needed for a person to be successful while navigating their multiple future careers. Yes, this includes emotional and relational intelligence, time management, and project management, but so much more. So as cornerstones of instruction and reflection throughout all courses and extracurricular opportunities are the 5 C's. They are transferable, rooted in all industries, and include character and compassion, collaboration, communication, creativity, and critical thinking. Then there are technical skills. These can be very industry specific. They include the ability to apply what you have learned to the areas of cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, biotechnology, business and entrepreneurship, and other high-demand fields. High school students savvy with skills in areas of interest find jobs, keep jobs, are promoted more quickly, and more importantly, create jobs. Technical skills are attained through career technical education coursework, dual credit community college courses aligned to career pathways, project-based learning, as well as mentorships and internships opportunities. Youth voice and purpose are rooted in the development and affirmation of a student's identity and motivation.
It is vital students choose how they learn and thus develop purpose in their own education. This is achieved through civic engagement, service learning, and career exploration activities that are meaningful and relevant, driven by their interests, and often self-initiated with appropriate guidance from educators. In fact, there are numerous innovative features to the Anaheim Career Preparedness Systems Framework strategy. This strategy intentionally leverages a variety of initiatives, partners, and approaches to achieve our vision. The Anaheim Union Career Preparedness Systems Framework inserts career education into the center of the mission of each school because it works and will provide all learners with a competitive advantage. In this framework, students bring their passion, voice, and strengths into the career exploration process. The skills and tools in CPSF each contribute to form a powerful mosaic of integrative learning and skill building, preparing students for meaningful careers grounded in purpose. Join the Anaheim Union High School District in building a better world through Unlimited You.
Yeah, wow, I like that.
That concludes our presentation. Thank you.
That was good. Okay. Okay, so with the end of that presentation, it takes us up to public comments, open session items. This is the opportunities for public comments occurring at the beginning of each agenda item and at this time for items not on the agenda. Persons wishing to address the Board of Trustees should complete a speaker request form, which is available on the information table at the back of the room, and submit it to the executive assistant prior to the meeting. Each speaker is limited to a maximum of 5 minutes. Each topic or item is limited to a total of 20 minutes. So board members cannot immediately respond to your public comments that is stated on the speaker request form. And this evening, I have a few here, and we'll begin with Rudy Kraus.
Hi, my name is Rudy Kraus. I'm a writer, author. I have a master's. I'm writing my COVID thesis on the COVID virus, vaccine, the microbiology of the vaccine. I'm just looking at some photographs from Dr. Zalewski, who's from France, and he put the COVID vaccine under his microscopy, his microscopes, and what we find is we find a parasite. The parasite, this one comes from Dr. Young. He's an American, but the Zalewski parasite is quite revealing. He's measured it. It's 30 microns. That's measured in millionths. This thing is huge. It's got a huge head. It's got even longer tentacles. Now this is from Dr. Madej. This was on Stu Peters last week. The whole internet, this is all over the internet. Everyone's playing Stu Peters interviews with Dr. Ruby and Dr. Madej. And this is quite startling. This is the COVID parasite. You can see it has a head, a body, and long tentacles. These tentacles get extremely long. Even Dr. Zalewski was thinking, this seems like it's from the Matrix, those things that were flying around in the Matrix. See, there's the parasite right there. This is what you have in your body. They shot you with a parasite. This spike protein is made inside the body of this parasite. Right in here. This parasite is 40 nanometers to 100 nanometers. If you have a real big fat one, it's 140 nanometers. Nanometers are measured in billionths. They're the size of an atom. A nanometer, a nano is an atom. Microns, they're measured in millionths. How many of these parasites can you put in one blood cell? Blood cells are measured in microns. You can probably put 1,000 of them in one blood cell, and believe me, that's what they're doing. And you want to put this monster in children? It's bad enough that you suckered out and you put it in your own body because you're ignorant. And now old fools teach young fools how to become old fools, and you want to vaccinate all the children and turn them into COVID creatures. This parasite, you have a parallel life form in your body. It is in every cell of your body, from your toes all the way up to your brain, to where the blood cells line up one by one to go through the microcapillaries. And this is in there. Oh, you think, oh, it's the coronavirus. Oh, I'm so confused. Is that something out in the ether out there? What is a virus? The virus is the environment, the envelope this parasite has to travel in, because it cannot live in our environment, because this virus is anaerobic. Now, the doctor over here, can you tell me what anaerobic means? No, you can't, of course. Do you know that COVID is an anaerobic virus? No, of course you don't know that. Do you know that you're an aerobic human being? That means you inhale oxygen. The parasite lives without oxygen. It loves it at 30,000 feet on the top of Mount Everest. Why do you think the pilots are so afraid? Because they're up there in the environment that the parasite loves to be in. Now, what do? You put masks on all the kids. You're in here looking foolish to me. You got masks on yourselves. 20% reduction in oxygen inhalation. That feeds the COVID parasite. You're breeding an environment for it to live, grow, and thrive in. The COVID parasite makes the COVID virus. The virus
30 seconds
is how
remaining.
it reproduces. This is like its eggs, like its sperm. That's what it puts inside of you. And then what it does is it goes in your blood cells and immediately starts to decrease the oxygen, to deoxify the blood cells. What you guys have is deoxification, the gradual reduction in the daily consumption of oxygen. And that's what you're doing to the kids. If the COVID virus were here and there's a boy with a mask and a boy without a mask, who do you think the COVID virus is going to go to?
That's time.
The kid with the mask. Any questions? Where does this lead? Anyone? Anyone want to know where this leads to? You guys are mutating rapidly. And all the people that are having little COVID babies, they're COVID creatures.
Your time
You've had your
I
time,
asked for a
please.
question.
No questions are being forwarded. Thank you.
Okay, District 19, that's what we're talking about. Mutagenic containment. You're going to kill all the kids. Turn them into creatures.
Our next speaker,
Thank you.
Mazato. I'm not going to slaughter your last name, I'm sorry.
Tepeyolotsin.
Okay, thank you.
Yekwe kualitotaki nochime nikan siwatiwan tlakat nehanias masat nehanias tekpat nehanias tepeyolotsin iwan nehachikwa yoselo nineha mexika nochan nikan wahitlali 533 South Don Street, Anaheim, California 92805, traditional land of the Tangwa. I said, good afternoon, hello, hola. I speak 3 languages, Spanish, Hispanic, and English, and also Mexica, Nahuatl, which is a Native American language of the Yuto Azteca linguistic family, which includes the Tanguas, the Ahachimans, Hopi, which we just came from a trip over there, and also Tohono O'odham, Yaqui, and the Nahuapipiles from quote-unquote El Salvador. And we're here, many of us, to present something to the board. It's an issue that's been up in the air for a while, and I think it's time that we break that silence, because as a born Mexicano registered from Oaxaca, I actually went to South Junior High, Catella High School, Anaheim High School, and I spoke here when I was 13 years old. And I'm really happy I met some good people, some good leaders, activists to fight for Chicano studies, Mexican American studies, which is under Native American studies if you really look into it, into the history. And we're here to talk about a mascot called the Anaheim Colonist. It's very degrading to us Native Americans, with all your respect. We have a petition. It's about almost going up to 6,000 signatures, and we just came back from speaking to other tribes and non-tribal members, that signed of all colors, and we just want to let you guys know that the mascot does commit suicide to certain students. It's actually cultural castration. It's psychological genocide, because when you have an image that creates white supremacy, a white man, with all your respect to my Angle brothers, with 2 guns, how can that be educational? How can we teach violence with someone of any color? Doesn't matter if it's a black man with guns, a white man, a red man, yellow man. We don't promote that. And it's time that we change, that we heal together. And to end this off, we just established Indigenous Peoples Day in Anaheim. The Anaheim City Council voted for Indigenous Peoples Day. October 11th, October 12th, we just had our first Indigenous Peoples Day spiritual walk and a spiritual run. We're really happy to say that it's the beginning of something big, and we're all healing psychologically, spiritually, physically. And I just preparing all of you with all your respect that we will be coming, and we are getting the tanguas ready, and we have the permission. The tango gabrileños, Virginia Camelo and Adam Loya, will be coming to these meetings to educate, to communicate, because that's the key. What saved me was my identity, my grandpa to teach me oral tradition, the language, the history that I was not being taught in the schools. And I think that's the key to prevent from suicide or prevent from being in gangs or drugs or alcohol. That is the key in the education. We need to change the school curriculum. Biden, I believe, our President Biden is now pushing for a Indigenous Peoples Day in all of the U.S., make it a paid holiday. So this is a beginning. This is something big. It's something to think about. And I believe I have a minute and something left. Okay. But thank you so much for listening. There's so much to say. In memory of David De Lozoya. He was a Hopi that worked in the city of Anaheim, probably worked in your homes. He's got kids that went to Catella. I actually went to Catella and Anaheim High School, graduated. I'm a graduate from the Institute of American Arts in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I lived there for 13, 14 years in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I went to Fullerton College, Santa Ana College, Cypress, and Cypress College, took speech, and I just wanted to connect with what my grandpa was teaching me, the oral tradition, and I connected a lot of our words. I teach the language, the Nahuatl language. David Vasquez, that passed away, came out on the OC Weekly. And we connected a lot of the language. So when I see this percentage, the demographics, when we have Hispanic or Latino, Latino really means Italian. We're not Latin people. And Hispanic really means somebody from Spain. And that image, that mascot, it's a reminder of our trauma and what they did to us, raped our ancestors. And so there needs to be corrections on this, and if we talk about American Indians, Native Americans, our language is the key. They cannot break us with the language. If you speak Nahuatl, if you say Seattle, Chicago, Wisconsin, Tata, Nana, in our language, in the Mexican Chicano culture, we use those words, and even in the Native American reservations. So that's the key. So there's a lack of education, there's a lot of ignorance, but with time we will heal, and thank you so much for listening. I mean no disrespect, and I hope we can heal together and communicate and make this change of the school mascot and the school name, Colonist. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be David Garcia.
Thank you. And also to those who have lost their loved ones because of the COVID, my condolence. My name is David Garcia, member of the Tohono O'odham Nation, and I'll spell it for you. Tohono. That's one, that's desert. O'odham is capital Oodham, part of the nation. That means desert people. I am from Arizona. We are the second largest federally recognized tribe in the United States. And so I'm here in solidarity in behalf of people who are totally against the mascot and the name of the school here. And I say that is because as a former tribal leader, I have traveled and walked the halls of Congress, and as a member, as a delegate for an NGO, having been to the United Nations. In 2007, the United Nations Council passed the International Declaration on Indigenous People, and I would suggest that you look at the articles that was passed, because there's articles that speaks to education. And so And also the nation is a member of the National Congress of American Indians, which represents over 565 tribes, who also have passed resolution opposing mascots. And if those of you who are football players or like to watch NFL, the Washington Skins, changed their name, did away with their mascot, which is the Washington Redskins. And so these are things that have been ongoing. Public schools, even schools on reservations. But it's interesting that when I looked at when I listened to the presentation on the redistricting, and if you look at the numbers speaks for itself. When you look at the communities, the representation of the communities, and back then when the School of Anaheim was given the name and also the mascot, the community has changed. The numbers have changed. So because of that, there's no question in my mind that you need to do away with, because there is no representation based on nationality. And so when you look at the communities in all the districts, because we're talking about education, the number speaks for itself. I know how difficult it is, and I know how sensitive it is, but that it was said earlier that, the Cultural Heritage Committee under the umbrella of the City Council, we just celebrated Indigenous Peoples' Day and just given another proclamation. And so that's a good example that has been happening for several years. It's not just within one state, it's happening throughout the country. And so when you look at what has been happening, there needs to be a serious dialogue, there needs to be an understanding, there needs to be consultation, so that everybody is on the same page, so that things will go the way that the system has been broken, and you need to repair it. And so it has a direct or indirect impact when we come to what's been happening in communities when it comes to Native Americans or indigenous people or whatever is politically correct. And so coming from the city of Tucson, living in Tucson and also on the reservation, the city of Tucson has also done away with a lot of the mascots in the high schools. And a good example is the high school. It was Pueblo Warriors High School. They did away with the mascot. They did away with the word Warriors, and now it's just Pueblo High School. So I want you to seriously think about that, because those are the changes that needs to take place. And those are the discussions that have been going on and will continue to go on. So those of you who are decision makers, and then listening to your presentation on redirecting, because those are the things that are happening. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker will be Raquel.
Good evening. Buenas noches. Salam alaikum. My name's Raquel Ramirez. I am actually an Orange County native. I was born and raised in Orange County. I'm also part of the AUHSD Nation that's in San Juan Capistrano that we have been fighting to be federally recognized. Also, a little bit about myself is that I served in the Army. I did 8 years, served one tour in Afghanistan, so I've become very affluential. I can understand the Urdu language. That's one of the languages commonly known in Afghanistan. I also understand a little bit of French, Spanish, English, and anything else in between that is Latin derived. One of the main reasons of why I'm here is because I also the name The Colonist, it's I feel that it's a very derogatory name. Especially, I actually did a little bit of researching, And back in the 1800s, 1898 is, I believe, is when the school was originally first founded. Also within that time also was, it was when the colonists came into Anaheim, and also the Germans were one of the beginning settlers in Anaheim. Also, we also tell our children to, we also tell our children that they are the future. They are the future. And not to rely so much in the past. And also, because one of the major things that the colonists did to the Native Americans and the indigenous people, as how a few people, sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. Bear with me. As it was already stated, that the colonists came into America, and they actually, I'm going blank, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's quite all right.
But what I was trying to say is that we teach our children to learn from our past, to not let history repeat itself. And I feel that by having the name colonist and also the mascot is a little bit degrading, because what was happening to us before was that we were being raped, taken away from our homes, and telling us to just be quiet. Because if we actually spoke up, I mean, many of us know that we would be killed. The woman would be raped. You know what I mean? And it's not something that, that I feel that that our children should be exposed to. It's fine to learn about history, but not just, keep it in the forefront. Our education, our schools are there to be able to educate our children. Not to send I feel that it's sending like a subliminal message. I feel that it's telling us, the Native and the indigenous people, to just be quiet, to not speak up. I come here, I thank you for having this meeting and letting us speak here, but I feel that we just need to make a positive change for our kids, a positive change, because, just like we have many, the psychiatrists, or I'm sorry, not the psychiatrists, but the psychologists, helping the kids to be able to, do better in school and be okay within themselves. But if we have this mascot, that it still has this derogatory term that's kind of like still, pushed back in the back of our minds. Like, what are we actually really doing to these kids? What are we doing to the community in general? Because we want our kids to succeed. We want our kids to be successful in every area of our lives. But if we have something like this, that is just, defeating the purpose, if that makes sense. Let's see. And I think that's all I have. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for letting us speak, and have a nice evening.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Marcela Perez.
Good evening. A lot has happened throughout this pandemic for me to seek out and get in touch with my lineage. And I've come to find out I've come from a strong lineage of Mexica people. And for those that don't know, that is situated in Tenochtitlan, Mexico City. And I'm also here in support of our Tongvan relatives in the name change of a symbol that has, it's just been a a lingering, constant reminder of just the genocide of our ancestors. And I mean, you could tell me all day long that, you know, George Hansen was the founder of these lands, but you know, that is not what our system was founded on. Bartering, compromising. I mean, you know, our Native youth right now, they are exposed to social media, the news, you know, on right now with, you know, the digging of our, you know, the Indian schools, you know, and honestly, it's, I see it now. I mean, you couldn't compromise, you know, that paycheck, you know, I mean, because honestly, that's what we are, right? We're a paycheck to learn your history, right? You want our Native youth to learn your history, you know, you could at least compromise with the name change. Does that make sense? I mean, that, you know, I don't, it just, it's mind-boggling how, I mean, since Mr. Daniel La Torre de Lira, and I want to thank him, wherever you are, brother, for starting this petition. So, yeah, it's just, it's intriguing to me, as if any of you don't uphold any of your family traditions, you know? So, you know, it's, and also just, it's sad to see that, you know, it's, this is almost like a pearl panel, you know? You know, as it is, it's already that we feel enough reserved in the barrios, right? That reservation, right? And you can't compromise with one simple name change on that marquee. So again, I would just like to thank, you know, everything and everyone, you know, that has contributed to where we're at tonight. Good night.
And our last speaker will be Cecilia Iglesias.
Good evening, board members, superintendent, and members of the public. My name is Cecilia Iglesias. I'm the founder of the Parent Union. I'm an immigrant from El Salvador. I am very proud to be an American citizen, so grateful for the contributions of all cultures that makes America what it is today. I am a proud product of the public school system.
Therefore, I believe that children should be taught the truth about America, not one influenced by politics. I know that America may sometimes fall short of its ideals, but was founded with principles that value all people, and these principles are worth striving for. Critical race theory will undo decades of progress in the United States. Instead of fostering unity and equality, CRT highlights the differences between people and races. CRT focuses on people's skin color, not their character. We should be creating unity among students, not dividing them. Critical race theory teaches immigrants and children of color to be victims, and white children to feel guilty about their heritage and skin color. Instead of teaching students that hard work pays off and will set them up for a lifetime of success, even when success brings challenges, critical race theory teaches students that America will always be out to get them because of their race and skin color. We know that the teachers' union is driving critical race theory. The teachers' union embraces critical race theory because it shifts the blame away from them. Teachers' unions have neglected their duties as educators and are now claiming institutional and systemic racism as the reason for their failures. We won't overcome the union-created institutional problems by dividing students and teaching them to be victims. Our current system, where only students from wealthy families can leave poor-performing public schools for ones where they can receive a quality education, now that is racist. Ultimately, what CRT does is to weaken American principles of equality and freedom and promote a theory which won't help students at all. I humbly ask that you take my comments into consideration when voting on policy and curriculum that negatively affects our students regardless of race. Please vote on curriculum that will focus more on the fundamentals of learning, like English, reading, writing, math, and sciences. One last thing, I also want to ask you that if you're a member of the National School Boards Association, please cancel your membership with them. The National School Boards Association considers parents who peacefully voice their concerns on curriculum being taught to their children as terrorists. I know for a fact you guys don't consider parents as terrorists. Thank you for the opportunity to address you. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to all our speakers. Now we will move on to our regular items of business. Item 11.1 is resolution number 2021/22-E-08, Great American Smokeout, Escape the Vape Day 2021.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote. Mrs. Trejo.
Aye.
Mr. O'Neill.
Aye.
Mr. Jabbar.
Aye.
Mrs. Smith.
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Too bad we can't have Abdullah's
Yeah.
vote on this.
Right. 11.2, Business Services. This is the agreement, California IT and Education.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. 11.3, Agreement, Informed K-12.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Yes, Mrs. Trejo.
Since I see Eric, can you give me a quick synopsis of this information? I like to pride myself in, when I read these, that I can be informed. This just kind of threw me a little bit, some of the IT language.
Sure.
So do you mind?
In a nutshell, these are digital forms. So if you think historically, we have a paper form that we fill out manually. We progress to a computer copy of it, like a PDF. Inform K-12 puts a lot of additional features behind a form like workflow. So you submit a form, it'll automatically go to the next step, the next step. It has electronic signature, so we can have people sign it. That's a legally binding signature. And we can potentially move information from the form into some of our other systems like Aries. Still might be
Okay,
technical,
as simple as that.
As simple as that.
Thank you. I made it more difficult than it was. I appreciate it, Eric. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, moving on. Motion passes. 11.4, agreement optimization.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. 11.5, use of facilities agreement, Grand Theater Banquet and Event Center. Action
moved.
item.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
I'm glad we found a place.
Yeah, and we got a deal because this was an alumni of Anaheim High School. Huh?
Fantastic.
Okay, any questions? No, we already got that, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 11.6, revised board policy 71101.01.01, and in parentheses, 5123, promotion, retention, second reading.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 11.7, expenditure plan, report, elementary and secondary school emergency relief or ESSER 3 funds.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 11.8, agreement for services, technology and software, Coursera, Inc.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any questions? Comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 11.19, consulting agreement, Robert Morrison.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions? Comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 11.10, public hearing, Board of Trustees appointment, reappointment of Personnel Commission meeting. Let's open the public hearing. Any comments? Public comments? Seeing none? Close the public hearing.
May I speak on this?
And pardon?
May I speak on this? I know
Yes, you
since
may.
you closed it.
Now that we've closed the
hearing.
public hearing,
I
comments,
just wanted
questions,
to-
here.
Just wanted to say that Mr. Andreessen said that he is grateful for the candidacy, and he is willing to serve a next term. And he couldn't be here tonight because he's having a procedure tomorrow. But wanted to thank the board, and is very grateful to have been appointed, and is willing to serve another term.
Very good. Thank you for relaying that information. Okay, any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, moving on to 11.11. This is the revised board policy 6306, substitute teacher salary schedule, first and final reading.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? My comment is I hope it brings some more subs in. You know, I'm on the warpath to change some of the requirements so we can get easier, more subs. In other words, I firmly believe, and I've started my own campaign, trying to contact our legislators and encourage them to move to ease the requirements for substitutes right now, because we have such a shortage, and this is, I think, because of the pandemic, and there are a lot of people that are still hesitant to step into a room of 35 students. So we are really having problems getting substitutes, not just us, all the school districts. That's why we're kind of competing with each other, trying to see who can outdo the other one to get the subs to come. But I am contacting my legislators and asking them to ease the requirement. In other words, to be a substitute in the state of California, you must have your BA degree, pass the CBEST, and pass all security screening. Well, there's a lot of college students out there who would love to work a day or two here and there, and they're not stupid. They could take that CBEST, pass the security, and be a good substitute. And I mean, we've got professionals who've retired and who were self-employed or whatever, and maybe they wouldn't mind working a day or two here, but maybe they came up through the ranks and they didn't have a BA, but they had an AA. They could take the CBEST, pass the security screening, and then we'd have more people willing to substitute. And I think it'd be a great thing for some of our seniors who would love to do that. So anyway, that's what I'm trying, and if anybody wants to help, contact your legislators. I'm hounding them. Okay. I really think it needs to be done. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I'm thinking. You know, we need, and if nothing else, if they want to do it temporarily. I mean, it's just, because California has one of the strictest requirements for teaching as far as across the nation. I mean, I had to go 4 years to get my BA, then a 5th year to get my teaching credential, so it's a 5-year process. And it's really tougher now for some of these candidates who cannot even work when they student teach, and I think that's really tough. So anyway, I got on my soapbox. Anybody else have a comment or a question?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. 11.12, agreement, UMass Global Supervised Fieldwork.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And we come to our consent calendar. We will list all the items together unless you wish to pull.
Please pull 12.8 BB and 12.9.
Okay, 12.88 and 12.89. Any other items to be pulled?
Move for the balance.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the balance. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Item 12.8.8 and 12.8.9.
So moved.
Second.
Second, I can't find it, okay. Okay, I have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Abstained?
Yes, aye.
Okay. Motion passes. Okay, going to item 13. Let me see if I can find, yeah. Superintendent and staff report. No report, my goodness,
Wait,
okay.
you forgot someone. He has a long report.
I'm waiting. Okay. Item, oh, you know what? Did I omit Abdullah from voting on the clubs?
No? He
No.
voted.
Oh.
You omitted, but Anne Marie reminded.
Okay.
And he voted.
I didn't
We
say
got it.
anything, I'm just, oh,
Boy.
I'm sorry.
That was
I'm
an hour
glad-
and a half ago.
I know. I had my mind on some other things here.
Not that late.
Oh, how could I do that? Okay. I'm going to have to make a little note here to remind him, because I wanted to remind him. Okay. Board of Trustees report, starting with Mrs. Trejo.
I just want to publicly say, Abdullah, your report was just outstanding. I don't know, you're getting more and more grand, so you could tone it down a little bit because you're outdoing yourself. It's awesome. We really loved getting the perspective of the students. And thank you for adding the graduation of the Gilbert students. That was a really nice touch. So thank the ambassador. And I am so excited. Hope has an ambassador. Yes, that's great. That's so great. Thank you for all the work you're doing. I know. Now I need to calm down, huh? All righty. Thank you to the wonderful Zoom world that we're in. I was able to attend Cambridge Academy's back to school night, and boy, the enthusiasm there, they need to tone it down. No, I'm just kidding. They're great. They had a great opening, back to school night, and the teachers are just so excited, and so are the students. It's really wonderful. Also able to attend the Vietnamese parent meeting with our distinguished superintendent presiding. Lots of great questions and a lot of really good information given to that. I was able to attend the back to school night at Gilbert, and I went there about an hour before and got kind of like a little grand tour. I really, oh my goodness, the back area now that has been built out is just, oh my goodness, I was gushing. It was just really beautiful. And then to have that backstage area where they set up, and just nice, so beautiful. And the kids deserve that over there at Gilbert. So it was a really festive beginning that I saw. I saw all the artwork displayed, and a lot of, I think they had a really great turnout. The parents were coming as I was going. And I know that Dr. Laura is doing a fabulous job. A lot of camaraderie there. Another fun thing that I got to do, besides going to the GASELPA meeting and the ROP meeting, I was asked to be part of a judging panel for South Junior High School, a program that they just started. It's called Engage Academy, where the honor students in history, English, and science are combining their talent, and they had to do a presentation, and it was done in the multipurpose room. It was a great way to get the parents there and have the students give their presentations. It was a really interesting. The project really was their final project was they had to answer a driving question in their presentations. And I want to give the shout out to Ms. Humphrey, Dr. Bethencourt, and Ms. Chow. They worked together collaboratively with this, but the driving question was, what would make a family leave their home and move to another place? And this could be from another country or moving to another state, really to answer that question. And what they had to do was kind of make up an imaginary family and answer that question and talk about the journey. So there were a number of different countries represented. So students really had to do that research into all of the cultures and traditions and find out really how hard those journeys were. And some were across an ocean or, a desert. And it was very fascinating, and it was very difficult to judge because the students did tremendous work. They had, I think, 6 minutes to do their presentation, and there was a group of 4 students. But the one that really stood out for me was they kind of made it interactive, and they asked so the parents were also able to go from table to table to listen to the presentations, and so were the judges. But this interactive one was really cute because they made a box cube with their visual presentation on it, and then they would ask a question, kind of a yes or a no or either or question, and it was interactive. And what would you do if you say you hadn't eaten for 3 days and you had to give all of your money that you had for a loaf of bread or something. It was really tough to answer some of these questions, and I just thought that was really brilliant because it really brought us into their presentation. So bravo to them. Of course, we all attended the wonderful Dale reopening, ribbon cutting. That was just fabulous, and I'm so happy for the students and the staff there that were anxiously waiting all of that to be done, and it was a great celebration. And two other, I can't read my writing sometimes on my cards. Oh, the AUHSD Town Hall, a COVID update with Dr. Clayton Chow and Dr. Jose Mayorga and our own Manuel Colon, who hosted that event. I really loved that we were just really open and transparent. I was especially intrigued and grateful for Dr. Clayton Chow for being so honest about really putting the numbers, as you had mentioned, the deaths. And when you said that in the month of August in Orange County, or did you say Orange County or Anaheim, Manuel? I can't remember, but it's too many. You said 100 deaths.
Orange County.
Orange County, and 100 deaths. And that was preventable. It's crushing. It's crushing to know that could have been prevented, and those people could have been with us still. But thank you for hosting, putting that on. Thank you for everyone who contributed to that, for bringing Dr. Clayton Chow and Jose Mayorga, and of course, Al, you were there speaking as well. And it was a very emotional town hall. And I believe you answered all of the questions that our parents had. So thankful for that. And our artificial intelligence cybersecurity town hall, wow. Anna, you told us that you had heard Mr. Gupta, the prosecutor in cybersecurity for Orange County. You said that he scared you. Yeah, he scared me. And I took away with that the one thing that we could possibly do, because I always like, in tragedy or when we're scared about something, I always like to find one thing that I can do. And he reminded us that really, really look at your one email that you use for everything, that you use for your banking, medical records, all these important things that are linked to that one email. Make sure that is secure. Make sure that you are changing that password, because when that gets hacked, then your life is pretty much, a mess. So, but thank you for having him come and speak to our families. I hope that people really go on our website and look at those presentations. I believe they're recorded, and really take the time to really listen to the messages and to the correct factual information that we are providing for our families. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. O'Neill.
Yes. I attended the Orange County School Board Association budget meeting down at the OCDE, and it seems like it's a never-ending moving bullet, or target, I should say, because it changes the next day, so I'm not going to go into any details, but it's interesting to hear. I attended the Hope and Savannah back-to-school nights, along with Cambridge Virtual Academy, Kennedy, and Gilbert. So I got around to a few campuses. They're all doing very well. I like to see the turnout for the students and the teachers' enthusiasm for engaging. Almost everybody has been outside their classrooms. I think there's only been 2 schools that have been within the classroom. But all campuses have had good turnout. Attended the COVID town hall, the Zoom, educational, and so I thank you for that presentation. I hope it was educational to the community. The Dale ribbon cutting, as you said, was fantastic. It was a well-deserved upgrade to the campus. I'm looking forward to continuing upgrading other campuses so that we can go and do some ribbon cutting. Attended a Kennedy homecoming football game that was exciting. I was a little surprised on the Queen. Usually they have half a dozen Corvettes taking the princesses around. This they had a lowered pickup truck that took away the Queen after she was crowned. Well, that was it. That was different. Maybe nobody wanted to volunteer their Corvettes. So I said, I'll have to buy a few for next year. Okay, I won't buy any then. Attended a sister city meeting, and Lori Dinwiddie, who was very, very involved, even though she's a Buena Parkian, she is extremely involved in Anaheim, and she is now the chair of that committee. Actually, it's a commission, not a committee. The artificial intelligence and cybersecurity presentation was very interesting, and how would you portray the attendance? Would you portray it as being okay? I don't have a feel for it.
Well, you have to understand too, it was also virtual.
Now, which one did we attend to at Kennedy? That was the one at Kennedy. Cybersecurity and artificial intelligence, yeah.
Yeah,
We had
right.
125 people in there.
Right.
And then it was.
Oh, that's right, it was virtual, wasn't it?
virtual,
Ah,
right.
okay. Okay.
I
forgot all about the virtuality of that.
I was at the desert, so I had to watch it there.
Okay. All right, speaking of being deserts or being places, I had a very, very nice week up in New England states, the 4 states, touring the fantastic changing of the colors. So if you ever get an opportunity in your lifetime, and I hit it absolutely, I couldn't have done it any better. Usually it's around the second week of October, second week of October, and I hit it right on the button, so I was,
That's
that was
neat.
months of, waiting, and it happened, so it was fun, a lot of fun.
Great. Mr. Jabbar.
All right. Yeah, I went to a few back-to-school nights. I'm not sure if I mentioned it at the last board meeting, but I went to the South back-to-school and the Savannah and Magnolia back-to-school nights. Dale Junior High, the campus, again, absolutely wonderful, and I want to thank, is it Pinnacle Construction, right? Or Pinner Construction, for donating $10,000 to the ASB of Dale Junior High. I met the gentleman, and he said, I just wrote a check just because I heard Christina Mondragon, who actually gave a very, very eloquent speech. So he said, just looking at that speech, I wanted to open up my wallet and donate $10,000. So I want to congratulate the school on that one. I've been attending some of our Anaheim football games. It's nice to be back. I did attend the homecoming and the Bell game. Unfortunately, the Bell game we lost, so it was again to Western High School. But again, we'll make it one day. Anaheim will make it one day. We did the COVID town hall. I wanted to thank our coalition of clinic, which has been doing a lot of work with Anaheim Union High School District. When they approached me to say, hey, we want to have a COVID town hall at Anaheim Union High School District, I just couldn't say no to that opportunity. I think our community was well deserved by answering all those questions from not only Dr. Chow, but also Dr. Mayorga. So it will be great to have some of these clinics on a regular basis, because I did have a lot of parents who have been meeting at Anaheim and Sycamore who said, oh, sorry, we missed it. So maybe we can look at doing another one of those in the near future. Did attend the Sycamore Junior High coffee with the principal. We started the coffee at 8 o'clock and it went on till 11:30, the Spanish and English. So it was a very good coffee with principal. And then I also attended the Anaheim High School coffee with principal. That ended right on time. Met with some of our Sycamore parents regarding some of the concerns that they had. I also want to commend Bros, a Bros group, which actually organized a vaccine clinic on Anaheim campus as a result of this ability for them to fundraise as well, part of it. They had 25 people signed up, but end of the day, they vaccinated 80 people. So that's 80 people not being vaccinated who bros got to get them vaccinated. So they are having the follow-up clinic this Saturday, but we're also giving first doses on that day. So if anybody want to spread the word, it's on social media. So let's make that happen. Same day, we had the Anaheim High School VAPA workshops. Amazing. This is like my third or fourth one that I've been to, and it's amazing to see industry leaders coming in and actually teaching our kids some of the trade secrets, so to speak. I was fascinated. I was actually in one of the classrooms which did the gentleman who does makeup for Lion King was actually giving a presentation to the kids. That was really nice. And then another one, I had a recently retired dance teacher from Brookhurst, Autumn Brown. She had a cast on her foot, and she was there helping out, and she was doing the class. So that shows how passionate she was about it. So it was very nice to see that. And it was great to see all our ambassadors in there. Actually, the entire crew was there helping out with the day's activities. So thank you very much for being there. I grabbed a picture with all of you guys. I should post that somehow, yeah. And then, yes, we attended the ROP board meeting yesterday, Anne Marie and I. It was great to see their presentation on all of the different classes that they're doing in different schools, school districts. But Anaheim was a fascinating, for me at least, to kind of sit there and go like, wow, we have all that in our schools, right? So I think, I know you did mention we need probably ask them. I told them that they need to take that on a road tour, but Anne-Marie wanted to bring them here too in terms of taking on a road tour with our parents, because they need to know what type of programs we have. Finally, I just wanted to say, I want to congratulate Speed Castillo, one of our former employees. He was actually inducted into the Hall of Fame. And we want to make sure if there is a possibility to, I know he's failing in health too, so but if we can actually recognize him for that at one of the board meetings sooner rather than later, to actually congratulate him on that Hall of Fame induction, that would be great. That ends my report. Thank you.
Alrighty, I am so delighted to say that the reopening and ribbon cutting at Dale Junior High was wonderful. And I can't help but just say that Patty Neely and the people that, her team of people that created all that wonderful positive change, plus wonderful landscape, were a delight. And I was given a tour by Nicole Geminiano, who is the ASB Vice President, and she walked me around on the campus and expressed her delight of what she's experiencing, and her older sister had graduated from there, and she has a younger sister coming up behind her. So I think that has brought a lot of joy in that neighborhood. And I attended virtually the discipline committee, and then yesterday the insurance committee. And a couple of things I wanted to suggest. I spent 14 years on the ROP board, and it was a delight because many people don't understand in the community what ROP does. And over the years, they will develop programs that will be directive to what the needs are in a community and the economy. And I want to suggest to two board members who now serve on the ROP board that I saw a piece on television where there is a school that they are teaching 15 and 16-year-old boys and girls how to drive trucks. And it was so instructional for me because I've never taken the class, but I know many more women are driving, And because of what the reality is here societally in our country with these ports and the needs for trucks and drivers, it's a given. And so for ROP today to maybe entertain starting a driving school for our youngsters who might want to become truck drivers, I think it would be an opportunity. And then on 60 Minutes last Sunday, I don't even know how to describe this, but it was mind-jolting. It was on AI, and there are two young men in Europe who have developed AI programs where they could develop any of us or any person famous or a politician and reproduce them as an actor speaking something. And it was jolting to me because of the potential that this has for the future for your generation. And it's a wake up for people to become knowledgeable about this. I was grateful that 60 Minutes did do that. So I just want to thank the team. I think when you heard our ASTA president, Grant Schuster, speak, nobody walks in the shoes of another person. But these teachers, having to go to virtual teaching, never been instructed in college, they have to get them up to doing that. And now they're back with children, many of them are unable to adjudicate their world, their real world. And I just would say that I would hope that the community would be patient with the schools, and we're doing the best we can given the problems that we have been dealt. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Okay, I attended a few different meetings, the opening of schools task force and the student discipline committee, and I love being able to listen to some of what the teachers have to say and some of the issues that they bring up. It's really interesting. And I attended a number of back to school nights, Savannah and Magnolia, Walker, Anaheim. And I also attended the AI and cybersecurity town hall, but it was while I was sitting at the river, but I didn't want to miss it. So since I wasn't able to go in person, I tuned in. I brought my laptop with me, and it was very interesting. Is it the gentleman, Mehta, what was his name? Anyway.
Rahul Gupta.
Gupta, yeah. He spoke once before
Yes.
at Magnolia.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought he did a phenomenal job then, and he did another really good job on this. It was really interesting. He did a phenomenal job. And of course, I attended the Dale ribbon cutting. That was really a lot of fun, and it's a beautiful campus. It's just, what has happened to that campus is phenomenal. It is just really state of the art, and let's just hope we could do some more like that. I also attended the virtual breakfast with Sharon Quirk Silva and the Secretary of State, Dr. Shirley Weber. That was a very interesting hour and very informative. Dr. Weber really was very interesting. I really enjoyed listening to her and how she's kind of come up through the levels and whatever, and it's interesting. I also attended the Cypress State of the City, and that was held, for the first time, it was held outside on the green, the Civic Center green. And I have to say this, Cypress High School's Culinary Arts was there serving hors d'oeuvres. Eleni, it was right there, and it was really good, but it was a really good State of the City. Now, they didn't highlight Anaheim a lot, but they did mention that we had started and gone back to school. So, because I chided the mayor about, oh, you guys are mad at us, he didn't say much. So, but he said, but I did, he had to show me the speech to show me that they mentioned us. So, at least it was better than Buena Park. Okay. Unfortunately, I missed the insurance committee meeting. And my calendar, I got to get my calendar straightened out. I think I'm going to start using a written copy. My phone is doing something funny. Okay, I also attended a Kennedy's show choir show on that one Friday night. I decided I had time, so I went over, even though I didn't have a ticket, but she got me a ticket, but it was delightful. And that was when we had that little earthquake in the middle of that show, and everybody just kind of sat there and waited. There was going to be more, but then nothing else happened, so then they continued on. So, and our PD day this Monday, that was interesting. I decided to visit a couple of sites, and I went to Cypress. We had a really big turnout of CTE people. There had to be over 50. It was very well done, and they were getting a lot done. And then I also visited Oxford's VAPA program to see what was going on there and say hello to some people. And I want to say also, I am so proud to see the ambassadors all over the district at all of our activities. They're there, they're working, they were at the open houses, the back to schools, and and it's just, it makes me proud. They are a really good group. And we have an exceptional young man. He's very well prepared and very well speaking, and it's just, I know he'll remind me about voting next time, okay? I don't want to slight you, okay. And I think that was about it, as much as I could get from my calendar right now.
Madam President?
Yes.
I just want to say on behalf of the board that we congratulate Karen Orr and Patty Neely.
Yes.
Bravo.
Yes. We have.
And I know we all want to wish Araceli Chavez the best in her future, and we hope that she'll come back in a year. We given her a year or so. Okay, so we wish her the best. We love her. We're going to have a very difficult time replacing her, and we wish her the best.
Right.
And one thing I did forget to say, Mike Matsuda, our superintendent, joined Dr. Janice Billings and myself at Oxford Academy, and the purpose was to meet with the faculty and to explain to younger faculty members how the school started and how it was the process was implemented. And I thought it was very informational for people that teach there, and Dr. Billings was saying the difficulties of getting the school started and so forth, and to convince the community that it would be a worthwhile project. And I mentioned property values too, because they went up. So I want to thank all of you.
Kathy?
At Oxford Academy.
No, I mean, when was that? I mean, Jan Billings was there?
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago.
A couple weeks ago, during the day?
In the morning.
Oh, okay.
We missed her. You kept her from us.
If I had known.
Also, happy Administrators Day to everybody. We wish you.
Close the meeting of that.
We appreciate. Yes, there you go.
Mark.
Close the meeting with happy administrators.
Close the meeting, what?
In recognition of Happy Administrators Day.
I think that's a good idea. I wasn't sure that's what you said. Okay. All right, we will close the meeting in honor of our administrators and Administrator Day at 8:44 p.m.
All right.